A lady was shopping and left the store right after paying. A couple of minutes later, she returned. She had forgotten her wallet at the checkout counter. But the wallet was already gone. She called the police and reported the robbery. A detective interrogated the people who were in the store at the time. Sophia, the cashier, said she didn't see the wallet after the lady paid. Robert, a pilot who happened to be shopping there, said he didn't even see the wallet. He didn't have his glasses on. Mark, a landscaper, said he was in a different part of the store, so he didn't see anything. So, who stole the wallet? It was Robert, the pilot. He looks pretty blind without his glasses, so he's definitely not a pilot. Why would he lie about that? Unless… Mrs. Anderson came home from work in the middle of the day because she'd forgotten some important documents. When she went to the bedroom, she saw her husband lying on the bed. There was a paramedic beside him. Mr. Anderson was unconscious, and the doctor explained that he had been poisoned. Luckily, he had had time to call a paramedic before passing out. Mrs. Anderson immediately blocked off the door and called the police. She said there was a fake paramedic in her house who had poisoned her husband. How did she know? You might have noticed that when Mrs. Anderson arrived, there was no ambulance in the driveway. That's super suspicious. Take a look at these pictures. Which blogger is richer? The second one. Look at the number of likes. She has 17,000, but the first one only has 7,000. After years in college, Stephen came back to his hometown. He met up with a couple of his old friends, Dylan and Harry. Both of them said they're successful bloggers now. To prove it, they showed him screenshots from their most popular videos. Steve took a look at them and could tell that one of his friends was lying. Who's lying, and how did Steve know? Harry's lying. The number of views for his video is 2.1 million, but the number of likes is way higher, 4.5 million. That's impossible, or at least really suspicious. Harry probably photoshopped that screenshot. Abigail wanted to buy her mom the best birthday present ever. The problem was, she had zero ideas. She decided to sneak into her mom's computer, go to her online shopping cart, and see what she had saved in there. When her mom left for work, Abigail sneaked into her home office and turned on the computer. Uh-oh. It required a password, and Abigail didn't know it. There was a sticky note attached to the keyboard. It was a clue. 1 apple, 2 orange, 2 kiwi, 1 lemon. Can you guess the password? Each number represents one letter of the word. A apple means the first letter, so A. Then we get P, R, I, and L. The password is April. Wow, her mom is really into fruit. William was hit on the head and taken away. When he woke up, he found himself locked in a small room. He tried to open the door, but obviously it was locked. There was nothing in the room except for a wooden box with 12 bottles in it. There was an extra bottle on the floor next to it. William looked everywhere for the key but found nothing. After a bit of thinking, he noticed something. He managed to find the key. Where was it? Look at the bottle on the floor. It's exactly the same as the others, but for some reason, it's a bit lower. There must be a fake floor in the box. That's where the key is. Esme was having a regular walk in the forest and got lost. She wandered around all night in the dark. Just after sunrise, she came upon a witch's house. She had nowhere else to go, so she walked in and asked the witch to send her home. The witch agreed, but it wasn't going to be that easy. 3 magical doors appeared, and Esme had to decide which one to go through. Behind the first door, nothing but a deep pit. Behind the second door was a shower of toxic liquid. Behind the third door was an open space with a vampire waiting for her. Which way should Esme go? Well, it's already past sunrise. The vampire would be gone already, hiding out somewhere dark. Esme should pick the third door. Maybe Esme could have just jumped over the pit. What do you think? A woman called the police and reported that she had been robbed. She said she was in a restaurant bathroom fixing her makeup. Someone had come up from behind and hit her on the head, so she didn't know what the person looked like. The police sent her home and refused to fill out the report. Why? The woman was fixing her makeup, so she must have been looking in the mirror. She would have definitely seen someone sneaking up behind her. She lied and made up the whole story. One of Mr. Smith's sons, Jaden, was taken. Several hours later, Mr. Smith and his younger son David received a letter. The letter stated that if they wanted to see Jaden again, they should round up $1 million cash and take it to a little shack in the woods. Mr. Smith and David decided to do it, and David took the money into the woods alone. But it didn't go as planned. David said that halfway to the shack, someone approached him from behind, hit him, and stole the money. There was an investigation, and a detective asked David what the robber looked like. David said that he had dark hair and a red hoodie with a black logo on it. The detective immediately figured out who had taken Jaden. Can you? It was David. He said the robber approached him from behind, but somehow he still managed to remember some pretty specific details about the robber. Nah, he made it all up. Several women went missing in a small city. The police searched for months, but they couldn't find any trace of them. One day, a detective got lucky. He saw a hooded figure who matched their description, followed it, and found the place where they were being kept hostage. But when he busted in, there were just 3 women. They all said that they had been locked in this small room, but the detective knew that one of them wasn't a victim at all. The first woman said her name was Emery. She had spent around a year in that room. The second woman, Aria, said she had been there about 6 months. The third woman said her name was Brielle and that she had been locked up in there for about 2 months. Can you tell who's lying? Emery's lying. Look at her hair. She just had it dyed, but she's been there a year. Aria's hair is also dyed, but you can see her natural dark roots growing out. Amelia's brother, Neil, was a crazy scientist. In the past year, he had been working on a time machine. One day, he ran into Amelia's room and screamed. He'd done it! He'd invented a time machine, and it totally worked. He said he had already tested it. He managed to talk to William Shakespeare, Princess Diana, and Sherlock Holmes. Amelia didn't believe him at all. Why was she so sure about it? Even if Neil had actually invented a time machine, he'd only have been able to talk to people who actually existed in real life. He said he talked to Sherlock Holmes. That guy's a character from a book and a TV show and a movie. Hey, that guy's everywhere. Grab your detective hat and head over to Europe for this next one. Bill was traveling from Paris to Berlin by train. When the train got to Berlin, Bill wasn't on it. His friend reported him missing. The investigation began, and somewhere between Paris and Berlin, they found some interesting clues. There were footsteps that belonged to Bill, and a few feet away, his luggage. A detective found the person who had been sitting next to Bill on the train. His name was Sam. He said that Bill didn't have a ticket. When he saw the ticket inspector coming, he decided to make a run for it. He threw his suitcase off the train and then jumped. The detective didn't believe his story and arrested Sam for pushing Bill off the train. Why? Look at the direction the train was going. If Sam's story was true, the suitcase should be behind Bill's footsteps, not in front. Sam pushed Bill off the train, then threw his luggage off after.